Hey guys, we're going to look at some inequalities and creating them from word problems. So if you have this worksheet with the sneakers on it, let's look at the first problem. Ian needs to save at least $85. So let's stop. If I need to save $85, at least, so I can eat more, the alligator can have more than that, or equal to that, but he can't have less than that. Okay, and he already has $25 in his piggy bank, so the amount of money that he has is $25 plus something else. He can save $12 each week. Look, if I can save $12 each week, I multiply 12 times the number of weeks. So hopefully that makes sense. I have 12 times the number of weeks plus $25 more is going to be greater than or equal to $85. So let's solve it. It's still an algebra problem even though it's an inequality symbol. And I need to move the adding or subtracting first. So I'm going to minus 25 from each side because that's the opposite. And draw my big fat line. My opposites cancel, and I'm going to bring down 12 weeks is greater than or equal to 60. And if I divide by 12, because the opposite of timesing by 12 will be to divide by 12, and get rid of my opposites, weeks are going to be greater than or equal to 60 divided by 12 is 5. So how many weeks will Ian need to save to earn at least $85? Well, his weeks will be greater than or equal to 5. I'm going to put a solid dot on the 5. Greater, I'm going to go to the bigger numbers. I hope that makes sense. Let's take a look at our next question about the vet and our puppy dog. The vet told Sarah that her dog should weigh at most 70 pounds. So let's take a look at that. 70 pounds at the most. So I can equal 70 pounds and I can be less than that, but I can't be more than that. The dog weighs 106 right now, so that's not good. Okay, so I'm going to need to minus some weight. And he can lose 4 pounds per week. So 4 per week. Weigh 106. I'm going to take away 4 per week, and that will end up being less than or equal to 70. So how many weeks will it take for the dog to lose the weight? Again, I need to move my adding or subtracting my constant that's not attached to the variable first. So I have two sides. 106 is the first thing. And if you look in front of it, it's actually a positive 106. So the opposite will be to minus 106. Minus 106. Big fat line. Opposites cancel. I'm left with a negative 4W is less than or equal to, and 70 minus 106, take a second, type it in a calculator if you need, but if I have a positive 70 and a negative, the negatives are going to win, right? I go off on the side of my paper and say 106 soldiers minus 70 soldiers, they won by 36 soldiers. Looks very strange right now because this problem is going to be an exception to our rules, okay? So I'm going to put a big E here for this is an exception to our rules, okay? I have a negative W is less than or equal to a negative 36. In inequalities, and I won't do this to you on a test, in inequalities, if I have a negative that I multiply or divide by, so this is a negative 4 times W. So the opposite is to divide by that thing, which is a negative 4. If you multiply or divide by a negative, multiplying or dividing, and I'm dividing by a negative, my exception is that I need to switch this sign, and this is why. My weeks, I divide this out, it's 9. My weeks can be greater than 9 or equal to 9. Is it okay for my dog to lose more than 9 weeks worth of weight? Yeah, that makes sense. But it doesn't make sense that you can only lose less than that. So I'm going to put a closed dot because it can take me 9 weeks. It could take me more than 9 weeks to graph the solution. Okay? Again, this is an exception to the rule because I am multiplying or dividing by a negative in inequalities. And that exception will tell me that I need to flip the sign. So let's find a highlighter here. Found a yellow highlighter. I divided by a negative, so I flipped the sign. That's my exception. I'm going to write that. That's an exception. Big fat exclamation point. That's an exception to the rule. Okay? Let's take a look at this cute little dude penguin here. The temperature at the ice rink must stay below 50. So let's stop and think about that for a minute. I have 50 degrees. It must stay below that. The most you can eat is up to 50. Does it say that it could be 50? No, it says it's got to be below that, so I would not put an or equal sign there. This morning the temperature was 71 degrees. The ice rink runs a cooling device that can decrease the temperature by 3.5 every hour. Decrease it means I'm going to minus the number of degrees. How many hours will it take for the temperature to fall below 50? So let's solve this. I have 71 degrees. I need to take away 3.5 degrees for every hour and have that be below 50 degrees. So hopefully our sentence makes sense. Again, I'm going to look for the constant, the value that is not attached to the variable, but it's on the same side of the problem as the variable. You'll see this is the same side over here. 71 is not attached to the variable, so that's the thing I'm going to move first. And looking in front of it, it's a plus, so the opposite is to minus 71, big fat line. Bring down what's left. Negative 3.5h is less than, okay, I have positive 51, negative 70, or 50, excuse me, not 51, negative 71, so who's going to win? The negative soldiers, and how many more of them are there? Well, 71 minus 50 is 21. And I have a negative 3.5 times h is less than negative 21. I have a negative 3.5 times. The opposite of timesing by something is to divide by that something. So just like my problem before, this is another exception. I'm dividing by a negative. So I'm going to do what? What did we say we're going to do? We're going to flip that sign. So now it's going to be this way, negative 3.5. If I divide out negative 21 divided by negative 3.5, let's pause for a second, find our calculators. I'm looking for my calculator, and I'm going to type in 21 divided by 3.5, and I get 6. So negative divided by negative is a positive 6. And it's, if you think about it, it's got to be a positive because my number of hours can't be negative. I can't go backwards in time. Okay? So, I'm going to put what kind of dot on the 6? I'm going to put open because the hours, it's going to take more than 6 hours to get my temperature down. Okay? So that was another exception to the rule. Okay, I want you to finish the sheet and then come to me and check your answers.